reality, we're into measuring the concept value. Measuring the concept value. When starting a new venture, you'll need to create a value proposition. A value proposition is an easy to follow plan that convinces financiers and customers that your concept is worthwhile. To do this, you'll need to know your audience and what troubles them. Once you know the issues, you need to determine whether your concept resolves these issues. If you don't have the resources, infrastructure, or experience to address the problems, you shouldn't pursue that path. Entering an arena unprepared will increase the likelihood that your competitors will devour you. When developing your value proposition, remember that your goal shouldn't be to provide the same value as your competitors. You should provide more value. Your value proposition is meant to persuade your audience to choose your concept over your competitors. With that goal in mind, keep your proposition clear and concise and include quantifiable evidence that shows your superiority. Don't underestimate the importance of this step. The ability to articulate your value proposition or the lack thereof can show you a lot about your chance of success. Step 9, assess the need. When determining your concept's value, you have to consider whether another product or service already solves the problems you're concentrating on. Consumers already have a million options to choose from when making a purchase. The last thing you want to do is to confuse the market more by making it a million and one. If similar concepts exist, your one chance to chip away at the market share is to grow such an outstanding business that consumers default to your brand. However, in order for that to happen, you have to offer unquestionable value. For example, if you're developing a social media app, ask why a consumer would leave other popular apps to use yours. If you plan to monopolize the chocolate chip cookie market, what unique quality prevents a big box producer from replicating your brand and smothering you? Consumers have to make a choice, and your goal is to make sure your product or service wins their dedication. If you simply replicate the work of your competitors, you'll fail. You'll lack legal and financial backing, proper branding, and most importantly, customers. You must have a differentiating value so obvious that your customers can't help but convert to your product or service. Here's your question for step 9. Is your problem already being solved by someone else? You want to answer that. Is your problem already being solved by someone else? Step 10. Position yourself strategically. Position yourself strategically. Think about you. Consider how you and your idea will offer a differentiating value to the market you aim to penetrate. Be painfully honest about whether you're the best person to bring this idea, product, or service to market. The most innovative thinkers are not always the best concept implementers, and the best implementers are not always the best investment pitchers. You might have an awesome idea for saving whales, but with limited to no experience in marine life, you might not be the best person to execute that idea. If you have the time and determination to become an expert in the field, go for it. If you plan to launch next year, however, you should reconsider. Bob Shank, a mentor of mine and the founder of the Masters Program, once told me that there are 3 types of people. The number 1, originators. They constantly have new ideas and thrive on the startup process. Number 2, organizers. They take the originators' ideas and give them the structure and stand long term. Number 3, operators. They guide concepts once they're established and ready to be institutionalized. Although a single individual might have the capacity to dabble in all 3, they'll rarely be able to sustain all 3 long term. You'll need to be honest with yourself and find the category in which you fit best. You might want to ask some friends or mentors which category they see you in. You would rather be brutally honest now than to launch your idea and see it fall apart later. Determine if you are the best leader for the job. And here's a question for you, step 10. Where should you strategically position yourself to best move your venture forward? I want to answer that. Where should you strategically position yourself to best move your venture forward? Step 11. Identify your concept's benefits. Identify your concept's benefits. Consider what you have to offer the market and why a consumer would continue to choose your product or service over another. You'll need a comprehensive understanding about your competitive advantage and your competition's disadvantage. Healthy competition will empower you to compare your strengths and weaknesses to others. However, it is important to keep in mind that you don't want to spread bad publicity about your competitor in order to capture a share of the market. If a company's leadership has ethical flaws, consumers might wonder if the product or service has quality flaws. On the other hand, if a product or service has high quality, the odds of generating customer loyalty from consumers strengthens. Ultimately, market share sales will offer all the evidence you need. FedEx offers an example of healthy competition. They focus on the timeliness of their deliveries without disparaging their competitors. FedEx doesn't just ship goods, they sell convenience. They market this differentiating advantage with a formula that can be that you can imitate. They, your competitor, do X, but we, your brand, do X better. Or they do X, but we do Y. Competing in the nonprofit world is more difficult, but it's still possible. If your concept serves a challenged demographic, such as low-income communities or victims of human trafficking, you don't want to put others out of business. You can, however, find a creative edge and strengthen the work already taking place. You can set yourself apart from the competition and still maintain your integrity. Begin with the end in mind. Then think about how your idea offers a new and improved solution for the consumer's problems. Here's the question to answer for step number 11. What benefit are you providing to the world around you? What benefit are you providing to the world around you? You want to make sure you answer that question in your notes. Step 12, provide a unique strategy. Provide a unique strategy. As you think about penetrating a market that already exists, you'll need to think of how you can set yourself apart and secure market share. Your approach to differentiating has to be clever, attractive, cost-effective, sustainable, and delivered with excellence. Almost anywhere you travel, you face thousands of lodging options, but none compared to the prestigious Ritz-Carlton hotels. This chain is the only company to win the Malcolm Baldrige National Quality Award twice. The Training magazine voted it best in the nation for employee training. While the Ritz-Carlton competes in an industry full of alternatives, they've established a unique value proposition. One way the Ritz sets itself apart is with its motto: "We are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen." The company treats its employees like royalty, and they in turn treat their guests like royalty. The practice behind the motto elevates the experience guests have when interacting with staff at the Ritz. From the bellman to the entrance to the floating staff members perusing the lobby for someone to assist, every staff member wears a smile. The Ritz gained its prestige because it recognized the value market cause and effect. People pay for what they value, and they value whatever solves their problems best. People pay for what they value, and they value whatever solves their problems best. The Ritz can charge their customers more because their customers see the value in the hotel service. Whatever arena you hope to enter, create and highlight a unique delivery strategy. Great ideas will remain just that, great ideas, unless you have an execution plan. Be sure you match the inspiration of your ideas with an actual strategy for delivery. Do your research. Study others who've successfully risen above the competition. Deliberate on trials and triumphs that made them successful. Then take that information and create a plan. Here's a question you want to answer for step 12. How will you deliver a unique benefit to the world around you? How will you deliver a unique benefit to the world around you? Make sure you answer that question in your notes. Step 13, ensure concept propriety. A proprietary idea is one that is exclusively yours. A person can only use a proprietary product if they purchase or license it from the creator. The purchase can be as simple as buying a book, essentially purchasing the intellectual property of the author. Another form of licensing is proprietary property licensing. This process allows the original owner to benefit from the licensee's desire to utilize the intellectual property. School systems have been known to leverage proprietary property licensing in order to utilize curricular offerings in classrooms. Usually, those that are most successful are those that add substantial value to the academic curriculum already offered to students. Life skills, sex education, financial literacy, and post-secondary career training are examples of curricular offerings that come in the form of proprietary property licensing. As you think about bringing your concept to life, make sure the idea doesn't already have a copyright, trademark, or patent owned by someone else. Not sure what they are? See my definitions of each below. A copyright is a legal document concept, a legal concept that grants the originator exclusive usage to its rights and distribution. A trademark is a design or expression that identifies a product or service as distinct from a competitor product or service. A patent is an exclusive right granted to an owner, inventor, or creator in exchange for detailed public disclosure of an invention. These simplified definitions don't cover everything, of course. I recommend you do extensive research on these three categories and consider contacting an attorney who specializes in at least one, if not all of these areas. Do your research and be sure you're prepared to defend your own concepts, proprietary rights, or your claim to a purchased or licensed idea. Now, here's the question you want to answer for step 13. Is your concept proprietary? Is your concept proprietary? Make sure you answer that question in your notes. Step 14, educate your audience. Educate your audience. Before starting your new venture, you should research whether a market already exists for your product or service. Is there a market? Consider how much energy, time, and capital you'll need to invest to penetrate that market. Usually, the first company to successfully penetrate a market has the greatest leverage to capture sustaining market share in the long term. If a monster business already exists in the market, they'll likely stifle your venture before you gain momentum. For example, you might have a great soft drink idea, but even if you can penetrate the market, Coke and Pepsi will forever dominate your product. Both companies see billions of dollars in revenues annually, giving your product little chance in the competition. Count your costs and know what you're getting into when you decide to compete with existing giants in the market. You might be the next Steve Jobs or Bill Gates, an inventor of an idea or service that revolutionizes the global economy, but those odds are about 1 to 7 billion. To make your venture a success, you'll need to keep a realistic mindset, but you also need to believe in your idea. Expect the best, but plan for the worst. If you do your research and discover the market you're attempting to penetrate doesn't exist, you have a huge opportunity to create a market. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself. Calculate how much time, money, human capital, and hard work you think you'll need. Then double your expectations. Your expectations only account for what you plan, but startups experience many unexpected demands. Whether you're attempting to penetrate an existing market or create a new market, get ready to take the road less traveled. Along the way, you'll experience triumphs, but you'll also face trials. Crisis will test your character and your dedication to your venture. You face a major undertaking when preparing to educate a new market. Don't be disheartened, though. Many of the greatest risks in history have produced the greatest returns on investment. Now, here's the question you want to answer for step 14. How much will you have to educate your target audience? How much will you have to educate your target audience? Measuring the concept value. The execution pipeline, a step-by-step guide to moving your business idea from dream to reality by author Anthony Flynn.